Welcome back. All right, news of the day video for all you fine people on the internet for your Wednesday, November the 13th. Starting off at the top of the board with the Buffalo Sabres. They have reclaimed James Reimer on waivers from the Anaheim Ducks. Not a surprise. The plan was to waive him and send him down to the minors. He ends up in Anaheim, so they just take him back. And he might end up being dressed for the next game, probably as a backup, I would think, because Luukkonen, his status is uncertain for tomorrow's game in Buffalo net. Matthias Samuelsson's status is known. He's dealing with a lower body injury. He's going to be out long term. So, not great news for Buffalo Sabres fans there. Samuelsson's a very good defensive defenseman. They are going to miss him for however long he's out. For Tage Thompson and for Luukkonen, it looks like they could be available for tomorrow's game. That's great news if you're a Sabres fan, so we'll see how it goes. Connor McDavid with 4 points last night. He now sits at 999 career points, tantalizingly close to 1,000. And at that point, then I do a video on his career to that point, that 1,000th point, right? So Connor McDavid's going to get there. And of course, we're all going to be surprised when he goes on a real tear scoring-wise and ends up right back near or at the top of the scoring race. This is a bad sign for the rest of the NHL that he's starting to warm up. Hampus Lindholm, lower body injury. He got hurt during last night's game. And according to coach Jim Montgomery, he's going to be out for weeks. So I don't want to hedge towards long term. To me, 4 to 6 weeks is long term. When a coach just says weeks, I'll say 2. So I'll say week to week, Hampus Lindholm. Again, lower body injury. And for Boston, they're just going to have to make up for that using the depth the team has on the blue line. I'm not overly concerned. Boston's depth on the blue line is usually pretty good, and so I think they'll be fine. But let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Jani Hakanpää, storyline that's been going since July, and finally we'll see what all the hype is about. He's been activated from long-term injured reserve by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Jani Hakanpää he's a big defenseman. He throws hits. And as long as he has his mobility with Toronto, I honestly think he could be a pretty good pickup for them. That's going to be the question, though, is how long the knee's going to hold out. Will he be able to play back-to-backs? Are they going to have to do load management with him? It'll be interesting to see what happens with Hakanpää. But he had a couple of games in the AHL. Now he's been activated at the NHL level, so we're going to find out pretty quickly here where he slots in and what the plan is going forward. Sidney Crosby, speaking of players that are on the cusp of making history, he sits 2 assists behind Joe Sakic, who's 13th on the all-time list with 1,016 assists. So Crosby with only 1,014. He has a chance to pass a legend in Joe Sakic, and we won't be surprised when that takes place. Tonight's game for Pittsburgh, Tristan Jarry will be the backup. That's the first time he's been dressed for Pittsburgh since coming back up from the AHL. We'll see if he ends up getting into some action soon. Nedeljkovic is the starter, which makes Blomqvist the third goaltender. And I would think odds are Blomqvist ends up getting sent down to the Wilkes-Barre Penguins, as you don't need waivers to send Blomqvist down. So the reason I'm wearing a Utah hat and a generic all-star jersey, the days of me needing to wear a generic jersey with the Utah hat could be coming to an end soon. The generic jerseys for their inaugural season are being released to the team store on November 15th. Now, the retailer that I normally get them through, I haven't got an update yet as to whether or not they're going to have them soon, but hopefully that'll be the case. So, yeah, Utah's jerseys will be available November 15th. It'll be nice to see jerseys in the crowd in Utah. It feels like a throwback when I'm watching games there and nobody's wearing jerseys. It's like that feels like the old hockey from the 90s when you wouldn't see anybody wearing jerseys. Maybe the odd fan here and there, but it was very, very unusual to see that. That was in an era where people were like, why are you wearing a jersey? You're not on the team. You don't need to wear a jersey. And yeah, things have changed. But yeah, so those will be available for the team store November 15th, and season ticket holders have first dibs. So that's where they're going with that. And so, yeah, it's going to be nice to see those jerseys. The thing is, too, hopefully they're both home and away. From what I understand, online retailers are supposed to get home and aways as well. And I know that Utah's going to change these in their second year when they get the actual logo and everything. But I think the colors are probably going to stay the same, and it'd just be nice to have a Utah jersey. So we'll see when that gets added to the collection and what they end up looking like. And no, it won't be a pro. That Minnesota pro that Yvonne's got, I'm not spending that amount of money on. I do not make pro money, so yeah, it's not going to be a thing. That's also why I don't have any made in Canada Adidas jerseys. Just the price of them was ridiculous, and then a lot of the time you have to go game worn if you want to get one, and then the price is even higher. So I wasn't that enamored with the made in Canada that I felt like doing that. So when you look at the collection back here, it's been years of collecting, and in general, a lot of these I got either on sale or I got secondhand. So there's that option as well. The Winnipeg Jets, historical run. The one concern that I do have with Winnipeg is peaking in November. That's the one thing I'd be concerned with. But 15 wins in their first 16 games. They are the first team in NHL history to do that, beating the 2022-2023 Boston Bruins, the 2007-2008 Ottawa Senators, the 2006-2007 Buffalo Sabres, the 1985-86 Philadelphia Flyers, and the 1929-30 Boston Bruins, who all shared the record, getting to 15 wins in their first 17 games of the season. So this is a record I don't think anybody ever beats, because I don't think anybody's ever going to win their first 15 games of the season. So again, if you're a Jets fan, do what I did last year with Boston, Dallas, Vancouver. Enjoy it, because you just enjoy it. I know people are going to say, it's regular season, who cares? They're winning games. You're allowed to enjoy when your team wins games, regardless of the time of season. So, yeah, Jets continue to make history. Jack Hughes makes a little bit of New Jersey Devils history last night. He reaches 300 points in his 325th game in a New Jersey Devils uniform, and he's the fastest in team history, passing Kirk Muller. It took Kirk Muller 332 games to get there. And Muller was a better offensive player than I think people remember him. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure I've done a Kirk Muller career video. You name the player, there's probably a video for them on this channel. A lot of them anyways. So, yeah, Jack Hughes now the fastest to get there, which is interesting because he had a slow start for his career that first year and a bit. His numbers last year weren't fantastic either, but he's still producing at a rate that New Jersey really hasn't seen before. There's been a goalie rotation in Washington, which ends today. Basically, it's been Lindgren, Thompson, just that rotation. But they're switching it up. It looks like Thompson's going to be the starter for the second game in a row. Logan Thompson's been the better of the two goaltenders so far this year. I did do the goalie power rankings today. He was on the board, he being Thompson. Lindgren was not. And just looking at the advanced stats and the overall stats, it was like, these two guys are playing quite differently. It was pretty obvious to me anyways that Thompson was the better of the two, just looking at the straight numbers. And the Capitals have decided to make a bit of a break from the rotation they've been doing. Maybe they go right back to the rotation after tonight, but it's something to keep an eye on, especially if either goaltender is on your fantasy team. The Anaheim Ducks making some moves today in that Fowler and Fabry, who I put on the board with 1B instead of 2. So let me go ahead and fix that. And again, if there isn't an error on the board, then did I do it? See, and that's why, because the 2Bs makes it look wrong. So anyways, Fabry placed on IR along with Fowler, and in order to make up for those losses, Harkins and Hellison have been recalled. So Drew Hellison gets called up. We'll see how many games he gets into. And Jansen Harkins, we know he can fill in on the fourth line here and there. And if he needs to clear waivers again to go back down, he absolutely can and will. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Yes, I've started putting text on all of my thumbnails. Also this morning, Yvonne went through and figured out how to have it so that my videos could also be available via podcast, which will put them on, I believe, YouTube Music as well. So that's a change that I made. I know people have talked about that before. We made this available as a podcast. It is now. So we'll see how that all goes. But just trying some different things. And thank you guys so much for the support all the way through. It is greatly appreciated. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. The podcast thing too was really a matter of, I know a lot of people listen to my videos while they're driving to work or while they're on their break, that kind of thing. And I know people listen sometimes more than they watch. So yeah, it should be available in podcast form as well. So thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.